Joining us now on this program today is a spokesperson of the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Senator Ajibola Bashiru. Well, Senator Bashiru, thank you very much for joining us. I know it's been quite a tough day, traveling all the way from Asaba, getting to the airport and rushing home to be part of this program. Before you joined us, we had PDP former National Legal Advisor Jacob Mark joining us on this program to comment on the decision of the Senate with regard to the electronic transmission of results, and also clause 87 with regard to direct and indirect primaries. But I know that you've been in the news as a spokesperson defending the position of the Senate. Well, can you take the two issues one after the other, and why the position of the Senate is the best position to take, although the critics say the vote for us is suspicious?
I think as Nigeria is an heterogeneous society, and of course you expect diverse positions and views on whatever decision anybody has taken. But irrespective of what anybody is saying, the decisions on the passage of the Electoral Act was taken on a bipartisan basis. And you know that largely the Nigerian Senate is populated by APC and PDP senators. So therefore, any criticism on the part of the opposition party has no basis whatsoever, because quite a number of members of PDP who are senators supported the position of the Senate. So a partisan criticism of decision of the Senate is baseless and is not tenable. Then now on the issue of electronic transmission of results, what is really must be very clarified is that there appear to be confusion as to what is even we are talking about when we talk of transmission of results. In the Edo and the election and Ondo election that is being referred to, there was really no automatic transmission of results by anybody. What happened was that after election had been concluded at polling units, results were then transferred electronically to collation centers, either at the ward or local government or at the national level. I've monitored election before in some other countries, like in Venezuela, where they do electronic voting and electronic transmission. What they mean by voting and transmission is that the results are transmitted automatically to a server, to a database whereby the results get populated. But even in Venezuela, there will be paper audits of at least a percentage of polling unit to ensure the integrity of the process. So what is happening and what has been done by the National Assembly is that Section 63 of the bill has provided that election must be concluded at the respective polling units, results must be announced and recorded on the form prescribed by INEC and signed by the presiding officer and countersigned by polling agents where available. So after this, the National Assembly has given discretion to INEC to then transfer results in respective of whatever manner they chose to, either electronically, physically, or such. What that has done is that there's already a paper trail to ensure the security of results, whatever has been transferred, and that hackers will not be able to dilute, whatever has come from the will of the people at the polling unit. Secondly, it also addressed the issue of this possible disenfranchisement if you want to do automatic transmission of results where there's no adequate coverage. It was because of the realization of the effectiveness of Section 63 of the bill in addressing the problem of possible hacking and security of votes and issue of disenfranchisement that a new Section 52, Subsection 2, was agreed upon at the recomita proceedings at the Senate to provide for electronic transmission where it is already been done, that election has been concluded at the respective polling unit. And I think that is reasonable, that is fair, and ensure integrity of our voting process. On the issue of Section 87, speaking for myself and not as a spokesperson of the Senate, ideologically, I don't believe there should be any provision at all, whether direct or indirect, in any law that prescribe the mode of conduct of primary. But as it were, it was a PDP-dominated National Assembly that started the process of statutory provision on issue of emergence of candidate or political party. Dr. Abati, you will realize that classical political science will tell you that a political party is a group of people who have ideas on what they want to implement and put their member forward. A member of a political party may not have the wherewithal to be able to conduct primary, but the leadership, using democratic centralism, may discover that that is the best that will articulate and realize the position of the leadership. So the PDP-dominated National Assembly previously were the one that initiated provision of Section 87. But what did we see about Section 87? We saw a situation whereby the so-called delegate system become a cesspool of corruption and manipulative processes by which the internal democracy that was the intent of Section 87 became diluted. So it was to cure that mischief that the direct primary provision had now been instituted. But what was done at the Senate was acceptance of what the House of Rep had done, and we go further to provide certain safeguards to ensure integrity and free and fairness of that process. What are these provisions? It is now mandatory by Section 87, subsection 1, for INEC to monitor the process of the direct primary. Secondly, it is now a duty on INEC to monitor at every centers where that primary is to be conducted. Membership of political party now must be documented and the register made available for the purpose of accreditation for the direct primary. And every cleared aspirant has the right to receive the guideline for the conduct of the primary not later than 14 days before the date of primary. And the guideline must also be filed with INEC, a situation whereby the rules of the game can be changed overnight, as now being safeguarded against by the provision and the amendment done in the Senate on Section 87. It is our belief that at the conference, which will hold very soon, our colleague in the House of Rep will agree with this provision, and then we'll be able to entrench internal democracy the way and manner that will ensure Section 87 is not just breached, is not complied with in breach, but in reality. But
Senator Bashiru, very quickly, because we seem to be running out of time, do you think that the president will give his assent and we will not have a repeat of the situation we had in 2019 when the presidency kept raising objections and we were told that the time available for the enactment of the bill was not enough? What do you expect this time around, and how innovative are some of those efforts that have been made by the National Assembly?
I will say that, Doctor, I don't have power of clairvoyance, and so I could not prophesy. But if precedent is to be used in this regard, I will say that there is high probability that the president will assent to the bill that have been passed by the National Assembly. So far in the 9th Senate, the president has given 100% assent to our bill. Even the PIA, when it was assented to, and the president realized that there ought to be an expansion of certain administrative provisions to reflect federal character, the president signed it and within 36 days brought an amendment. Ordinarily, if there had not been a cordial working relationship between the executive and the legislative arm, it will have been a basis to refuse assent to it. So even if the president will have certain issues with it, I believe by precedent, he will assent to the bill, then bring necessary amendment to reflect what is intended by the president in that regard. And I will say that beyond the controversy on transmission of results, there have been salutary provisions which Nigerians should be educated and should not gloss over in the new electoral bill. First and foremost is issue of accreditation of voters. You will recall that in the case of Wike and Peterside, the Supreme Court could not find in favor of Mr. Peterside, where the number of accredited voters on the card reader was far less than the total number of votes on the ground that card reader was not recognized in the Electoral Act, and the non-compliance that could invalidate an election must be non-compliance with the provision of Electoral Act and not guideline. Because as it were then, and under the extant law, the guideline is what provided, what has made provision for card reader. Now, the card reader has been recognized in section 43 of the bill, and any other electoral device that could use for purpose of identification of voters. So if new device should come forward, that will be recognized under the new bill. Secondly, electronic voting machine is also recognized under section 43 of the bill. Then the meaning of overvoting has also been amended. Previously, overvoting is reckoned with the total number of voters in the register, and you will discover that there are always residual voters in the register. Now, overvoting is to be reckoned with the total number of accredited voters, and then the card reader combined being recognized will ensure there's integrity in the accreditation process and ensure that votes are not unnecessarily inflated. Ballot stuffing is also guided against. Then a salutary provision is amendment of the grant of petition. Now, previously, well-conducted election have been validated on the ground that a certain political party were excluded. In this regard now, the provision is now that INEC will call well ahead before election on political party to see sample ballot papers. If you refuse to come, or when you refuse to raise objection to inclusion or otherwise in ballot paper, you could not come as a grant to invalidate a properly conducted election. We have seen in the past a situation whereby well-conducted election proxy war is fought by some, if I may use the word, special purpose vehicle political party to invalidate such election. Then in terms of fiscally challenged, the new bill has recognized proper segregation and provisions to ensure that fiscally challenged people are taken care in the process of voters registration. Well, another very salutary area is in relation of raising objection to loading of voter register. Election manipulation starts from voters registration. So we have made safeguard to ensure and criminalize provisions in relation to overloading unnecessarily voter registration. The same thing with multiple registration and multiple voting. So I will say that implementation of the new electoral bill, when signed to law by the president, would address some of the lacuna and mischief carried out in the electoral process under the extant provision. Okay,
Senator Bashiru, just one more question because we're running out of time. If we can do that in 1 minute, and then I'll just invite Yemi Adamolekun to say something in response to some of the points you have raised. You just came back from Asaba to oversee the Congress in that state. But all over the country, there have been complaints about the APC congresses around the country. Multiple congresses, violence, Why is it that the APC cannot put its acts together? Very quickly.
I don't agree that APC cannot put its act together. You must make a difference between properly conducted primary and people who are just out to dramatize what they could call whatever they call it. It's like saying that somebody, let me use the analogy of your program, somebody going to parody your program and say that he has conducted a program. The leadership of APC sent 7-man team to every state to conduct primary. Any primary that is conducted outside that 7-man team is definitely, just a comedy or a charade, if I may use, that word. So it's not really a problem. It's the problem of the fact that some people do not want to subject themselves to democratic process. In any event, the state congress is just a culmination of a process beginning from the World Congress. So if you have a World Congresses recognized by the party and they were sworn in, local government congresses recognized by the party, there's some people gathering somewhere and say that they are doing parallel congress. It's like somebody saying they have parallel National Assembly or parallel Senate, which is not presided either over by Dr. Abel Lawal or Right Honorable Speaker Gbadabe Amila. Such cannot be a parliament. So any such congress not organized within the context of the leadership of the party within the framework. In any event, one of my friends, joked yesterday. He said it is at the National Convention that we will know whether there are two two Congress conducted or not, because there will only be one national convention, doctor, and it is that national convention that we will know those that will emanate from the state and where they will appear in that regard. So it's not a crisis. You also expect a political party that has become so large, that is the party to beat in any election, to have a lot of contending interests. But I will believe that congresses, there will be reconciliation, there will be unification of the party ahead of the 2023 election. Well, this is part of political process. Jostling for power is a necessary incident of political party engagement.
Thank you very much, Senator Ajibola Bashiru, for joining us on this Live This Sunday talk show. Thank you.